Hello, and welcome back to the Southern Bible Thumper channel. My name is Cam, and for this upload, we will be reading Exodus chapter 12. This is a long chapter, it's 51 verses. Let's look. Okay, it's 50 something verses. I'm gonna correct myself, but we'll get there. And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for an house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. Ye shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats, and ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month, and the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and on the upper door post of the houses wherein they shall eat it. They shall eat the flesh in that night, roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it. Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water, but roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the purtenance thereof. And ye shall let nothing of it remain until the morning. And that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus shall ye eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand, and ye shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night, and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast. And against all the gods of Egypt I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you, and the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you when I smite the land of Egypt. And this day shall be unto you for a memorial, and ye shall keep it a feast to the Lord throughout your generations. Ye shall keep it a feast by an ordinance forever. 7 days shall ye eat unleavened bread. Even the first day ye shall put away leaven out of your houses. For whosoever eateth leavened bread from the first day until the 7th day, that soul shall be cut off from Israel. And in the first day there shall be an holy convocation, and in the 7th day there shall be an holy convocation to you. No matter of work shall be done in them, save that which every man must eat, that only may be done of you. And ye shall observe the feast of unleavened bread, for in this selfsame day have I bought your armies out of the land of Egypt. Therefore shall ye observe this day in your generations by an ordinance forever. In the first month, on the 14th day of the month at even, ye shall eat unleavened bread, until the 21st day of the month at even. 7 days shall there be no leaven found in your houses, for whosoever eateth that which is leavened, even that soul shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether he be a stranger or born in the land. Ye shall eat nothing leavened, in all your habitations shall ye eat unleavened bread. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel, and said unto them, Draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover. And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop, and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the two side posts with the blood that is in the basin, and none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning. The Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians, and when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, the Lord will pass over the door, and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your house to smite you. And ye shall observe this thing for an ordinance to thee and to thy sons forever. And it shall come to pass, when ye be come to the land which the Lord will give you, according as he hath promised, that ye shall keep this service. And it shall come to pass, when your children shall say unto you, What mean ye by this service? That ye shall say, It is the sacrifice of the Lord's Passover, who passed over the house of the children of Israel in Egypt, when he smote the Egyptians and delivered our houses. And the people bowed the head and worshipped. And the children of Israel went away, as did the Lord had commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass that at midnight the Lord smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, from the firstborn of Pharaoh that sat on his throne, unto the firstborn of the captive that was in the dungeon, and all the firstborn of cattle. And Pharaoh rose up in the night, he and all his servants, and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. And he called for Moses and Aaron by night, and said, Rise up, and get you forth from among my people, both ye and the children of Israel, and go, serve the Lord, as ye have said. Also take your flocks and your herds, as ye have said, and be gone, and bless me also. And the Egyptians were urgent upon the people, that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, We be all dead men. And the people took their dough before it was leavened, their kneading troughs being bound up in their clothes upon their shoulders. And the children of Israel did according to the word of Moses, and they borrowed of the Egyptians silver. They borrowed of the Egyptians jewels of silver and jewels of gold and raiment. And the Lord gave the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they lent unto them such things as they required, and they spoiled the Egyptians. And the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 on foot that were men, beside children. And the mixed multitude went up also with them, and flocks and herds, even very much cattle. And they baked unleavened cakes of the dough which they brought forth out of Egypt. For it was not leavened, because they were thrust out of Egypt, and could not tarry, neither had they prepared for themselves any victual. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. And it came to pass at the end of the 430 years, even the selfsame day it came to pass, that all the hosts of the Lord went out from the land of Egypt. It is a night to be much observed unto the Lord, for bringing them out from the land of Egypt. This is that night of the Lord to be observed of all the children of Israel in their generations. And the Lord said unto Moses and Aaron, This is the ordinance of the Passover. There shall no stranger eat thereof, but every man's servant that is bought for money. When thou hast circumcised him, then shall he eat thereof. A foreigner and a hired servant shall not eat thereof. In one house shall it be eaten. Thou shalt not carry forth aught of the flesh abroad out of the house, neither shall ye break a bone thereof. All the congregation of Israel shall keep it. And when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and when a stranger shall sojourn with thee, and will keep the Passover to the Lord, let all his males be circumcised, and then let him come near and keep it. And he shall be as one that is born in the land, for no uncircumcised person shall eat thereof. One law shall be to him that is home born, and unto the stranger that sojourneth among you. Thus did all the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses and Aaron, so did they. And it came to pass the selfsame that the Lord did bring the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt by their armies. Summarizing Exodus chapter 12, God tells Moses and Aaron that the current month will become the first month of the year. On the 10th day, take an unblemished male lamb from the sheep or goats. In verse 4, think of the animal in terms of eating portions. If the family is too small to eat an entire animal, share it with another family. Keep the animal until the 14th day of the month, and all of the children of Israel will slaughter the animals in the evening of that day. The Israelites should smear blood from the animal on the sides and the top of the doorframe of the house that the family eats in. They shall roast the meat over fire and eat it with bitter greens and unleavened bread. Do not eat the meat raw or boil it. Roast the entire animal. Burn any leftovers. Eat it quickly and fully clothed. This is the Passover feast. Verse 11. In verse 12, God will execute judgment against all man, beast, and gods of Egypt. Verse 14, keep this tradition of the Passover feast forever. Verse 15, do not eat leavened bread for the 14th through the 21st days of the first year. The first and the seventh days of this 14 to 21 day period must be observed as an official day of the Holy Assembly. So the 14th day and the 21st day should be observed as an official day. No work should be done on on those days, and eating leavened bread during that 14th through 21st day of the first year will result in being cut off from their people. During that time of the 14th through the 21st, leaven or yeast should not be in the home at all for the children of Israel, whether stranger or born in that land. After you've drained the animal, take hyssop, which those are a type of branch. Dip those branches in the blood that was drained into a basin. Brush the blood on the top and the sides of the door frame of the home. Don't leave the home until the next day. The blood on the door frame will symbolize compliance with God's command. God will pass over the homes with blood on them. Verse 28, the children of Israel did as commanded. Verse 30, Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron after plague happened and all of the people were dead. And Pharaoh asked Moses and Aaron to leave. The Lord gave the Israelites favor in the sight of the Egyptians, who lent them clothes and jewels, which ended up stripping the Egyptians of their wealth. Verse 39, the Israelites were thrust out of Egypt. They could not wait, and they had not prepared any food. That's what victual means. Victual means food. Verse 40, the Israelites were in Egypt for a total of 430 years. So this night of them leaving the Passover night, or the night after the Passover, is a special night to observe. The outsiders or non Israelites should not participate in the Passover feast, and it's only allowable if the outsiders or uh, people bought with money. They can only celebrate the Passover feast if they are circumcised. All Passover meals must be eaten indoors without breaking the bones of the animal. Verse 48, no uncircumcised person shall eat of the Passover. It's the second time it's saying that. The children of Israel obeyed, and then the Lord delivered the Israelites from Egypt. Chapter 12 highlights God's final plague is to enforce the deaths of all Egyptian firstborns from animal and human families. Keep in mind, in Exodus chapter 1 verse 9, that the reason for Pharaoh enslaving the Israelites in the first place was that the Pharaoh feared their capacity because they were such a large number. Verse 13, verse 13, uh, chapter 1 verse 13. The Egyptians used misery and torture to enslave the Israelites for that reason of fearing their capacity because of their large number, not because of their behavior, not because of anything but fear of their ability and capacity. At this point, chapter 12, Pharaoh has now been warned 12 times. By chapter 11, verse 8, Moses tells Pharaoh about the firstborn. He tells him about the plague that will affect all Egyptians with the firstborn. Pharaoh had a chance to do the right thing 12 times. Even when he saw that his people would be affected, he continued to be stubborn. Literally, nothing else worked but death. Tradition created out of this event, the first month designated in chapter 12, verse 1, and chapter 12, verse 15 through 18, the 14th and the 21st days, the first month designated in chapter 12, verse 1. In chapter 12, verse 15 through 18, the 14th and the 21st days should be observed as holy, no work other than cooking. There were extremely specific instructions on consuming food during this time. Verse 4 through 5 details choosing which animal. Verse 6 is maintenance of the animal or care for the animal until they slaughter it. Verse 8 through 9 pertains to preparation. Verse 10 details disposal. Verse 11 details what you should be wearing when you're eating this food. Verse, verse 18 from the 14th day of that first month to the 21st day of that first month, no leaven should be eaten. Or the punishment for eating an item that is restricted. Verse 19, they will be cut off from their congregation. So there are specific instructions for preparing and eating this food. And there is a punishment for a dietary choice. This is the second time that we've seen this. The first time was in chapter 2, verse 17, when God told Adam not to eat of the tree of good and evil. In chapter 12, verse 3, verse 4, verse 8, 9, 10, 11, 15, 18, 19, 20, 39, 43, 44, 45, 46, and 48, all of these verses in chapter 12 are specifically pertaining to specific dietary instructions for the Passover event. So that's just what eat or what the Israelites ate during this time was specifically important. The blood served as a symbol of compliance with God's command. It was taken from preparing the animal to eat. Verse 27, the Bible calls the Passover feast a sacrifice. That's why there were specific rules about the dietary choice and the dietary recommendations because what is put into the body is a sacrifice. It's considered a sacrifice here in verse 27. Sacrificing your personal choice for God's consumption and replacing that with God's choices is a sacrifice. In the book of Leviticus, we are going to see that there are some very detailed uh, dietary restrictions in the Bible. And some of those restrictions are an abomination if you violate them. So, being a Christian, I have heard some things be noted as an abomination, but there are certain foods you can eat that are an abomination, the same way some of these other sins are. But we're still in the book of Exodus. We haven't even exited Exodus yet. So we will get into the book of Leviticus. But the last highlight, Moses and Aaron were not mentioned as having wealth. I want to reemphasize that. They didn't have any clout. They didn't have clout. They didn't have any special skill sets. They didn't have money or employment. But in verse 35, the Israelites stripped the Egyptians of their wealth by just asking them for clothing, silver, and gold. The last point I'd like to make: the Israelites had to be in a place of need to experience that type of gratitude, to be in a place where they could accept clothing, silver, gold. I appreciate you for watching this. I know this one was pretty long. It took nearly 9 minutes, or maybe a little over 9 minutes, to read the 51 verses. I appreciate you hanging in there with me. And the next upload will be Exodus chapter 13.